Continuing our commitment to keep you informed during Decision 2024, we are inviting every candidate for federal office into the 12 News studios. Today, we're focusing on the race for the U.S. Senate seat that's being vacated by independent Kyrsten Sinema. So we're working with Democrat Ruben Gallego's campaign to get a time to bring him in here to 12 News, but today we are joined by Republican candidate Kari Lake. Hello, Kari. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Don't hold your breath on Ruben. I have a feeling you may not get him, but we hope you do, because it's important for him to talk about what he's done to our country.
Good. All right, let's talk. We just talked about Kyrsten Sinema here a second ago. She came up with a bipartisan bill, or helped craft it, that didn't pass earlier this year for the border, and taking a look at the border. If you get the job she's in right now, and you may be asked to craft a border bill, what's in the Kari Lake border bill that you think will make the border safe and be able to get passed with both houses?
Well, day one, we know we're going to have President Trump in office, and he's probably going to, by executive order, immediately shut down all of this nonsense at the border where millions of people are pouring in. But I, in addition to that, want to pass a piece of legislation. I'd be happy to co-sponsor it, write it myself, a quick 1- or 2-page piece of legislation that fully funds and expedites the construction of the southern border wall. We know it
Where's
works.
that money come from? That's a lot of money,
You know
Kari.
what? If we can send $260 billion to Ukraine, I know from being on the campaign trail that the people of this country want to spend our money securing our border. We'll find it, we'll pull it from somewhere else. But if we can spend $260 billion on Ukraine, like my opponent has voted for and many others have, if we can spend money on sex change operations for our military and some of the other absolute nonsense out there, we can find money.
So you take it from some more progressive ideas. All right, go on. So you want to build the border wall.
And then we want to go back to remain in Mexico, end catch and release. And we want to actually clamp down on the people who've poured across during this Biden invasion. We've had upwards of 20 million people pour across during the Biden invasion. We know they're not being vetted. We know with absolute assurity that we have convicted rapists and murderers and criminals.
The 20 million, fairly though, been over a long period of time, several presidents.
No. I mean, if you look at the data, it's much higher than what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I know, shocking, they didn't put out accurate figures, but many are saying there's up to 20 million people who've come across in this short 3.5, almost 4-year window. And they've come in unvetted, they've come in illegally, and we need to repatriate them back to their homelands.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's an idea that sounds like a massive undertaking. So let's say, again, you're in office.
I'm not afraid of big jobs.
Okay. Day one on that job, what do you do?
Day one on the job, I'm going to help make sure President Trump has legislation.
No, I'm sorry. Day one on removing the illegal immigrants out of the country.
Well, it's going to be over a period of time. Actually, we have to remove people who have committed heinous crimes, and there have been many. We're watching as these Venezuelan and Chilean gang members have literally taken over apartment complexes.
So you use police officers to
They're here
find them?
in Phoenix as well.
Okay.
We had them all over the valley. Phoenix, Mesa, Paradise Valley, breaking into homes, dinnertime bandits. I just found out they're in Peoria now. So this is why we have to fully fund our police, because we're going to be leaning on our local police and sheriffs to help us out when they encounter somebody here illegally. Right now, you encounter a dangerous felon who's here illegally. You call ICE, you call they won't help. They can't assist because of this lack of leadership. So we're going to relying on local law enforcement to help us out. And that's why we need to fully fund it, Troy. My opponent wrote a piece of legislation to defund the police and to actually get rid of qualified immunity.
Wouldn't you need judges as well if you're going to,
That's in my plan. I've got a 10-step border plan.
Well.
We need more. We need thousands of judges, and we want them right on the border. We don't want them here where you say, okay, we're going to give you your summons to appear in court in 12 years. You're going to appear before a judge immediately. We'll need thousands of asylum judges right there on the border. In addition...
It'll make the decision right then.
Yeah. Right away. 97% of these asylum cases are fraudulent. It's a bunch of baloney. 97% of them are. This has been a free-for-all. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, with a wink and a nod, with their rubber stamp, Ruben Gallego, have allowed the whole world in. And our backs are breaking. We can't take it.
And I've seen numbers that say it's closer to 90%. But
by any means necessary. It's that critical, Troy, because it bleeds into our economy as well. Supply and demand on housing. If you're looking for a rental, an apartment, a rental out there, we're competing now with upwards of 20 million people. We haven't built enough housing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you have an interesting housing plan. You said you want the federal government to help with like mortgage assistance. Tell me about that plan.
Not necessarily down payment. You know, we heard Kamala Harris say $25,000, everybody who wants to buy a house. We know what would happen with that. The price of every house would go up $25,000 because people would realize everybody had an extra $25,000. There's a better way to do it. There's a better way to do it. When a house or an apartment or a condo goes up for sale, get the person who wants to buy that to get the deal, make the offer, and then it'd be better off if we actually made an assistance to help them bring down the mortgage rate.
So you'd buy down the rate with federal dollars.
For an example,
for anybody?
Under President Trump, 2.77 was what the mortgage rate was. Now it's upwards of 7%, even higher for some people, depending on your credit. That means the average monthly mortgage payment has gone from $1,300 to $2,700. You know, what it really matters is what you're paying per month, right?
Right.
Because if you're doubling your mortgage payment, you can't afford a mortgage. My kids have said to me, and I think our kids are about the same age, no matter how hard we work, if we work every waking hour, we still won't be able to save enough to buy a house.
But you would use federal money then to buy down that interest rate?
I think for first-time buyers or people who can qualify for the house, right now this young generation can't get into it. Now these are not programs I want to be long-term. We need a little bit of help right now to get through this dismal economy and the damage that Kamala Harris and frankly Ruben Gallego have done. Same thing with our seniors. There's so many seniors out there, and if you're watching right now, I know you're struggling. I've seen seniors, they're on a limited fixed income. They're watching as they maybe even paid off their house, but they can't afford the monthly payments now because electricity has gone up, food prices have gone up, everything has gone up.
What would you do about raising prices, about inflation?
What we would do about that is right now, these seniors right now on a fixed income are barely keeping up with their monthly expenses, and then they get a property tax bill, and they can't afford it. They're a couple hundred behind on a property tax, and now the government's coming in trying to take their house.
You would lower their property taxes?
I think we need to do some assistance for seniors in the short term until we can get out of this nightmare Kamala economy and get back into the Trump economy to prevent them from going homeless. My fear is that we're going to see hundreds of thousands of people in the next several months either slip into poverty or worse yet, slip into homelessness. And we're not talking about people who've been using drugs and are chronically street homeless. We're talking about people who just can't get by.
Yeah, the economy is challenging.
I talked to a woman, and I mentioned this in our debate. If you'd like to look at the debate, go to my social media, it's right there, or you can go to Rumble or YouTube and check it out, because I think if you look at that debate, you'll realize there's only one option for U.S. Senate. We got to go with America first. But in my debate, I talked about a woman in the West Valley, an older woman. She's retired, and she said, Kari, for decades I used to volunteer at the food banks. I would, during the holidays, bring food to people at the food bank. Now I find myself going there and putting my hand out and saying, can you help?
The economy's been tough on a lot of people. We're running out of time, Kari. I'm sorry. So can we talk about abortion a little bit? You said that you are supporting all the states to make their own decisions.
That's right.
On what's going on here. And you said you do not support a federal ban on abortion, nationwide ban, correct? And you were actually very timely with your ballot. You got your ballot in very quickly, right? You've already voted, which is good. So we've got Prop 139 out there, which would basically put the right to an abortion in our state's constitution. How'd you vote on that?
I think everyone knows how I voted on that. I think that what we have as a law right now,
yes or a no?
I voted for the current law that we have, which is
a no on 139.
A no on 139. Yeah. I voted for the current law we have. Listen, the current law we have, it was signed into law by both the Democrats and Republicans. It's truly bipartisan, and it's an abortion law that goes up until about 4 months of pregnancy. You know, Ruben Gallego, all he wants to do is drive a wedge on a very personal issue. He spent $40 million on attack ads on abortion. Think how many women and babies that could help. What I want to do as a U.S., and he knows full well, by the way.
You spend a lot on advertising too, Kari.
Nowhere close to him. I don't have George Soros supporting me. I don't have leftist billionaires supporting me. I have not spent that much on advertising because I don't have money coming from ActBlue questionable sources. And so, but $40 million on an issue that's not going to be decided in the U.S. Senate. He knows that full well. I agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I agree also with the Supreme Court. This is an issue for us right here in Arizona. I want Arizonans to decide. And if Arizonans decide that that proposition is what they want, as your U.S. Senator, I will respect that fully. And as your U.S. Senator, I will not push for a federal abortion ban, but I will push for pro-family legislation. You know, 60% of women who have an abortion say that if they would have had a little bit of financial help or a little bit of emotional help, they would have kept their baby. If that's the case, then we're failing as a society. Why aren't we giving women more help, giving them more options?
That's
So I
something
want to
you may
work
be in
on
place
that.
to do that.
Because we all know, I mean, you're a father, I'm a mother. It's a real beautiful gift, but I hate the thought of anybody walking in to an abortion clinic choosing that because they can't afford their baby. And in Ruben Gallego's economy, it's harder and harder to support just feeding yourself, let alone a family.
Can I ask you one last question here? The presidential polls have everything almost in a dead heat across the country. So we don't really know what's going to happen, if you believe the polls at all. Is there any fear in you that if Donald Trump loses this race, we may see some violent protests?
Not from our side. Not from our side. I was just with President Trump. I had a chance to chat with him before the rally. He called me up on stage. We have a really good relationship. If you go to a Trump rally, there's some of the greatest people there. They love this country. Frankly, I love all Americans. Ruben Gallego called Trump voters dumb and the worst people in the world. I would never say that about people who vote for Democrats. I love everyone in this state. For many years, I did what Troy does. I was in your home, and I never asked, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? I truly love the people of this state, and I don't know how we could ever elect a Ruben Gallego, who's already said he hates more than half of our state. President Trump, the MAGA movement, the America First movement is truly about bringing all Americans together. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, doesn't matter if you are independent or Democrat. If you want a safe, secure border, fully funded police, return to quality of life in this beautiful state, and if you want your kids to get a quality education, not an indoctrination, oh yeah, and you want world peace, then
You're offering quite a bit.
No, that's what, I mean, honestly, we are going to give you that. We are about to go into the greatest decades, hopefully longer than that, in American history. I truly have the greatest amount of optimism about where we're going. Next, few weeks are going to be tough. We got to get everybody out to vote. Vote early, get your ballot in. If you've received your ballot, fill it out, get it in right away. We're going to help turn this around. Whether you love me or don't, whether you love President Trump or you don't, we are still going to bring back a strong economy that works for all of us and a great, secure, beautiful Arizona.
Kari, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Troy.
Appreciate it.
Good
Going
to see
forward. Tram, I'll send it over to you.
And we want to remind you, as you get ready for Election Day, have the 12 Plus app already downloaded on your TV. 12 Plus is where we'll stream hours of live coverage of the local and state races, plus the results and the impact they could have on your community. Just search for the 12 Plus app on your Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku.